Welcome to another episode where we spill the tea on all things Flea. From wild vendor stories to incredible finds, we're bringing you the voices, treasures, and secrets of the flea market world. So grab a seat and let's dive in. This is you, me, and the Flea. Hey Flea fam, welcome back to You, Me, and the Flea. And before we get started today, want to take a second to acknowledge that Rachel is not here right now. She has been an incredible part of You, Me, and the Flea podcast, and she will probably be popping in here and there, and we've had amazing conversations with her. But yeah, we're going to take a little break and interview some fun new guests that I'm really excited about. And so today we're joined by Matt Case. Matt, welcome back.
Hello.
Matt, today I want to talk about something that is a dreaded topic in the flea game, as we know, which is, drumroll, the weather. And this was
right.
This was triggered by the quote April showers. And I think instead of bring May showers, we should do, or bring May flowers. I'm thinking April showers bring flea market powers. What do you think?
I like that. Bring flea market followers.
Yes. Oh, I love that too.
I mean, it's like everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it.
I know. What should we do?
I don't know. I can tell you the forecast for tonight is dark.
For sure. Okay, so a quick thing. Want to talk about maybe some funny weather stories that you have, even if it's snowstorms, hurricane, have you been stuck in anything or experienced something insane?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is the followers that we have at the flea market, the customers. I mean, we're rain or shine, we're open, but
Yeah.
once every couple years, there'll be a foot of snow on the ground. You can't get into our parking lot. There's one car mined in the parking lot, and you'll get people pulling up, not a single other car in the parking lot. And families will get out of the car and try to open up the door, asking if we're still open today. Because, I mean, they just want part of the action so bad. I mean, they've got their mind set on going, and rain or shine, they'll go. And
I know.
we're open all the time. It doesn't matter when. If you have an inkling to come in, you're welcome.
If you're feeling that flea market itch, somebody will be there for you. Definitely.
I mean,
No, I think it's so I actually remember a few years ago being stuck in was it early 2013, 2014, there was a big snowstorm here. And I remember being stuck in, and people were doing weird stuff with taking hot water and throwing it out and watching it turn into snow. Did you experience, I don't know what you did during that time, but I know me and my roommate were so how many more movies can we watch? Everything shut down. There was so much snow then.
yeah, I mean, out here in Chicago, it takes quite a lot to close things down. Although I remember working in the city for several decades downtown in the Loop area, I would take the train into work and I'd walk 2 blocks from the train station to my office, and I could look back on that year and get a good idea of how it went weather-wise based on how many times I had to put on my, Sorel boots that are this tall.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
It used to be 2, 3, 4 times a year, but now in the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, it's been nil.
It's been
So the weather's been changing a little bit in Chicago when it comes
I know.
that. I haven't had to wear those boots a single time in the last several years, except for maybe one snowstorm, but it's just not continual like it used to be here.
I know. I have a coat that's essentially like a bear. It is humongous, and I haven't worn it. I mean, we will get those sub-zero temps for a few days, but other than that, I don't know. So when everyone's "Oh, how do you deal with the weather there?" I'm it's not like it used to be.
The thing about Chicago weather is there's no such thing as cold weather in Chicago.
Yeah.
Cold weather does not exist. The only thing that exists is bad clothing.
Yeah. True.
Eskimos don't walk around complaining about how cold it is because
True.
they also don't go outside in a t-shirt and a thin jacket when it's
Yeah.
10 degrees. So if you have the right clothing on, you can live in Chicago and never feel cold.
Yeah. No doubt.
Nowadays with cars that can start from anywhere on earth, you push a button on your phone 10 minutes before you get into your car, and your car is a toasty 80 degrees when you get in it. The steering wheel is warm and the seats are warm. So
Yeah.
there's really no reason to kind of have to venture out in the cold because, bad clothing is not an excuse for being cold.
Exactly. And I always think about, how like in Arizona, like, so my sister lives in Arizona, and I feel like every time it's like so hot there, like 120, I'm always like, how do you do it? And she's like, well, I don't know. Like, she's like, my day to day, I'm not like roasting in it. Like, I'm going from my car to my office, which is only like a few amount of steps, which is like the same thing here, essentially. Like, I park my car in a garage, I come out, like, yes, it's like cold for like 3 minutes of like me being outside, and then it's over. So,
It's the same thing. It's
yeah,
hot down there. Yeah, Arizona, the
exactly.
where baby's first 5 words are, but it's a dry heat.
Exactly. The dry. Well, I
Mm.
would say there is a difference. Like roasting in Texas versus roasting in Arizona is a totally different game, in my opinion.
I've gotten on an airplane in Chicago. I've gone from my house to a taxi in a suit in 80-degree weather in Chicago, hot, sweating in my suit. Got on a plane, got off in Arizona, looked at the thermometer in my rental car, and it was 102 degrees, and I wasn't sweating.
Yeah.
I felt fine. So 80 in Chicago with humidity can be actually
Can be,
less tolerable than 100 in Arizona.
yeah, I agree 100%. Well, okay, so on this topic, whether it's rainy or what have you, because we see all four seasons here. Um, Something in our industry, as I mentioned, is the topic of weather and how it like significantly impacts all of our businesses, whether you're a flea market on the East Coast, one in California, if you're in Kentucky in the middle, like because our businesses are so dominantly outside, it has a huge effect. Like, are people going to come like to shop? Are people going to come to vent? Like, it's a huge gamble every single time. Like, what is comfortable weather to you might not be comfortable weather to me. So, like, how do we do this? And so, I definitely wanted to have like a conversation on our thoughts here and maybe trigger some conversation outside um about this. And so, what do you think about rainy day? Like, let's talk about rain first. So, what do you think about rainy days? Does it slow our traffic down here?
Yeah, I mean, any type of live event, which a flea market is,
Mhm.
anything that's live and outdoors is going to be affected by the weather, whether it's a sports game, a concert, a festival. I mean, the list goes on and on. Unless you're, sitting at home on social media in front of a phone or watching TV and even that's affected by the weather because then your chances are you're not going to be inside. Hopefully you're outside
Right.
enjoying good weather. So
Right.
you
Exactly.
can't really get around it any way no matter what industry you're in. It's hard to think of some that you really can benefit on both ends when it's nice outside and when it's, cool outside. Even an indoor sports event in Chicago, you're going to have less people showing up if there's a snowstorm outside.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why we're open throughout the year. I mean, we don't close. Think about a ski resort, for example, or you'll get good days where you'll have sun. It recently snowed. More people are going to come out. You still have to buy your lift ticket. You still have to come out. But if you want to come out and ski on a day where it might rain, I mean that's up to you. And
Right.
you're not going to refund somebody's lift tickets because the conditions weren't 100% in favor for them. So we just stay open throughout the year.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a good point. We're lucky too that we have that inside facility, so shoppers can still shop inside. I will say that so Rachel and I did a vlog on our YouTube channel where it was raining at Melrose Park and we were out there shopping. And so you're experiencing us live from this. And it's interesting because like the vendors there had like such like great quality tents where we literally were just kind of like speed walking from like tent to tent,
Mhm.
but it wasn't bad because we weren't getting like soaked because like we were protected. And it was almost kind of like fun. I don't know. Like I feel like the vendors were like willing to kind of get rid of their stuff a little bit easier. It was from a customer perspective, um I don't know. It was like more of a fun experience. Now, I mean,
Well,
if we had like a raincoat or something like that, it have been even better, but I didn't
I
think it
mean,
was
inclement weather it can pay off for a vendor. I mean, if you have, the ratio visitors versus vendors. So if you have if you have a lowered amount of vendors that show up for the day, but less of a lowered amount of visitors for that day, then there's less of a supply of vendors. So the visitors then have less of a choice. So the vendors can make more money that way.
Mhm.
So that sometimes benefits. That's why these vendors are smart because even if the weather's poor, they know that if I show up, my neighbor might not show up. Therefore, the customer might buy from me instead of the neighbor. The customer will have less choices, so that puts more money in my pocket. That's why they do show up during poor weather days. I mean, if one vendor showed up with general merchandise on a horrible day, and 100 visitors showed up only, you know, chances are he will he will have 100% of that business coming in,
Yeah.
for example. So they know that numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in the business long enough to figure that out.
100%. And they're gonna bring some of those like competitive items that maybe they don't bring when more people that have those items are. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think they're very like, do you
Hmm.
think
They're very
that
nimble when it comes to their inventory,
oh yeah, they're very
and they can
smart.
play along with the weather. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's so funny too, because I feel like on colder days or rainy days or even like super hot sunny days, it's always funny to me too how like strategic they are with like placing items out like umbrellas. Or like in the super cold days, they'll be like hand warmers out or like just all of that. So I'm like, how do you even have this stuff? But they are like ready, like good scarves, like the thicker hats are out there. And I'm just like, wow. And I mean, we were like,
It really,
but
I mean,
we felt for
illegal.
it. Yeah.
You get into it. I mean, it's especially with the shade, that gets tricky too because
Mhm.
they're confined to a certain space, square footage wise, that's dictated by a perimeter line, and the sun shifts, right? So some have even gotten wise enough where they'll combine their efforts with some of their neighbors on both sides, and they'll just put a large tarp propped up high enough that goes completely across the aisle
Hot.
to keep them in the shade when the sun comes.
Hmm.
So they're able to get very, very creative in keeping with whatever the elements are demanding from them, whether it's sun, whether it's rain, or whether it's snow.
I know. And we have all you could see all of those in one day sometimes.
I don't
Um,
know. Yeah, that's the thing about
It's
Chicago weather, right? They say about
yeah.
Chicago weather, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. You know?
No, that's a great point.
Well,
What are you're on the ground a lot more. What are some other things that you see in terms of like preparation or things that they're doing? I mean, the tarps is a great one. I totally forgot about that. I've seen
yeah,
two.
I
Go
mean,
on.
we do a great job of, the people that we work with do a fantastic job of clearing off our 26-acre property or some of our
Oh,
smaller properties in advance all throughout the night.
yeah.
So it's wipe clean of any ice, any puddles, different things like that. So the vendors know that when they show up on those days that they'll have a clean area to set up in. And they're prepared. I mean, wind is an enemy of the flea market. That's hard to get around. I mean, everything's out in the open. So a lot of them they use weights, small weights that to put on their produce, little paper weights if they need them. They'll tie things down. They'll use dumbbells. They'll use
I was gonna say I've seen so many like dumbbells, kettlebells, like just tied everywhere.
who they need to do that. So there's it's amazing. I mean, there's really nothing stopping them from opening up.
Okay,
Suddenly.
wind is an interesting one I didn't even think of because that is huge. Like, and that I think is also quite a bit of a disruptor on their business where it's like, I mean, I've seen like I'll be holding something and it'll just fly out of my hand sometimes. And I'm just like, damn, that sucks. Like, or like they'll be setting up and all of the, as you know, like all of their like plastic junk will just fly everywhere and it could get really ugly.
Some of the items that they wanted out might not be able to, be out due to the weather. So again, they have so much inventory in their trucks. They can only put so much of it out on the table that day. And just like they'll change their inventory on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, on a Saturday or a Sunday, they'll, based on what types of visitors are coming out. I mean, if you're gonna be open on a Thursday during the day, your products are going to be different than they are going to be on the weekend because you're not going to have any children coming in on a Thursday, most likely because they're going to be in school. So just like they switch around their inventory, they'll switch around their inventory for that day based on what the weather calls for. If it's too windy, they have to leave some items in. If it's not as windy, then no. If it's sunny, they have things that can't melt, so they need to shade those. If it's not sunny, they can unshade the things that melt.
Yeah.
So they have a pretty good idea about it. It takes the only way they can do it properly is more experience, which most of them have.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, this is not their first rodeo. Like they're prepared to the utmost. Sometimes they are like, they can look up at the clouds and be like, nope, like we were just.
And some are like that, but you'll have, out of 700 outdoor vendors, even, rain or shine, worst weather imaginable, market's still open, but probably shouldn't be. And you'll still get it, 20. 20 will show up no matter, even during a, nuclear war, at least 20 will still show up.
No, that's like not an exaggeration.
Every single time. And, very rarely do we close, but very, very rarely. But when we do, that's the end for them, but it's only going to affect 20 vendors.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's funny too, because I mean, it's their livelihood, right? So it's like me and you, we still go to our jobs when the weather sucks. Like, this, like for some of them, sure, it might be like a side gig, but for some of them, it's not. And so, I mean, even if you make one sale, that's something, then nothing. And so I think that's
plus they're probably sitting there thinking, well, if I'm not here, I got to go home to my husband or wife. So I'll just stay here for as long as I can.
Well, I hope it's not that bad.
Some. Maybe one.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question. So obviously you and I are also consumers.
Or their kids.
What? Or their kids.
Or their kids.
Don't put words into people's mouths, Matt. Okay.
Maybe one.
Okay. You and I are consumers, right? So when, like you mentioned, I mean, everything kind of can take a hit when the weather sucks. So what do you, okay, let's say you and your wife had the plans on going to a farmer's market on a Saturday morning and you were like gung ho about it. Someone really good was going to be there. You were so excited. Like, do you still go if it was like drizzling?
No,
Really?
not myself personally.
Okay.
Only because if I'm tagging along with my wife, I'm of our couple, I'm the creative one. I would be like, no problem, let's go. We'll just wear an umbrella. We'll be fine. It'll be a good time, but it'd be a little more difficult to convince her. So if it was myself and I was saying going that thing, absolutely I would go. I would go. I would support the people that were out there. I would look at it as I have better pickings off the items because there's not going to be as many people there competing with me. I could negotiate a little bit better on the price. So I would absolutely do that. But when you have other people involved, it's a little bit, it's a little bit different. But a lot of times flea markets visitors, they come with their families to enjoy the overall festival experience that it offers. But a lot of times you have people popping in. A lot of people are popping and looking for one specific item from one specific vendor. So yes, if I needed tomatoes and I wanted the best tomatoes in town and it was sleeting and raining and snowing outside, I would still go myself to that farmer's market and pick it up.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, I think so many people rely on the flea market for that kind of stuff. And so I have seen people like storm the weather literally, figured like pun intended, storing the weather to like get there to get their stuff because I mean, it's way cheaper. They already know kind of the flow of the lay of the land. And so
Yeah.
I literally seen people bundled to the nines and get, like you said, getting really crafty on whether it's like the heat that they're, whatever element they're like fighting, they fight it. So like get out there and get their stuff.
Hmm.
Which,
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to really, they're necessities and,
mhm,
they can handle a little slight disruption.
yeah. I mean, when it comes to me, I'm like, it's very interesting. Like, I don't know if I would go casually stroll if the weather was bad, but I know, for example, if like if my friend was coming from like out of town or like I had planned it with my sister or something, like it was kind of like an outing like that, I don't know that I would bail. You know what I mean? Like I definitely would get out there, I think.
I
Um,
mean, it's the cheapest entertainment in town. It really is. I mean, what you're experiencing
yeah.
and with your eyes and
No,
all of your senses, it really is a great way to spend the day, even if the weather isn't perfect.
yeah. I agree. And I think like even when it comes to like a concert, I like think to myself like so I'm a big concert goer. Last year, I think like a few of them were in, no, not last year, the year before that. I think 4 or 5 of the shows that I went to in the summer, I was wearing a poncho. Like, and I was like a prune for hours. Like, and it's so funny. I'm like, like, why am I doing this when the ticket wasn't that expensive? I could have just stayed home, but you just like brave, and it's something to talk about, right? Like, it's something to talk about after. Like, we had so much fun. Like,
It's something to talk about, and the vendors are going to be there. And
mhm.
I mean, the crowds that come to our markets, they're massive. So instead of having to wait an hour sometimes to get into the parking lot, think about if you're going to go to a Six Flags, you kind of want to go when
Right.
it's not raining because you can't go on the rides necessarily, but just almost. You can get into the parking lot easily. You can see everything. You're not shoulder to shoulder. So, I mean,
Right.
there are benefits, and that's why we still draw giant crowds when it's not
Yeah.
perfect
No,
weather.
that's a great point. Okay. So let's talk it as a consumer, a visitor, if you will. Um, what are some tips do you think that you would have for someone that's coming out, whether it's let's start with cold weather and like rainy weather, and even then transitioning to like because we're almost at summer. Um, what are some
Yeah,
tips?
I mean, get ready to go.
Like
I
be
mean,
prepared.
enjoy yourself like you would. I mean,
Yeah.
think about what you'd wear when you're gonna go to an outdoor sporting event. I mean, prepare yourself for that. If not, there's a knit cap right here you can buy. There's some leather gloves right here you can buy. Oh, well, cool. Okay, here's some socks you can buy. Oh, wow. Some long underwear I could buy.
Oh, a heated vest do you need?
If you want a heated vest, you could buy. Oh, these boots aren't that great. Here's another pair of
Yeah.
fleece lined boots. I mean, if you're cold, go ahead. It's for under $10. You could have a new hat, new gloves, new socks.
Mm-hmm.
So just prepare yourself like that, and then if you're cold, maybe it'll pique your interest in some of the items here to keep you going. I've done it before. I ended up on sporting events and stopped by a CVS to stock up before I go in there. So I mean, kind of the same thing. And
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
a lot of
I would
options for you when you're there.
for sure. And I mean, I would say like I have this like really comfortable pair. Like I think everyone has at this point either some sort of like water resistant type of shoe. Like I have rain boots. I know like a couple of my like sneakers are like water resistant. Like I would throw on a pair of those like if it's raining. A little like raincoat or like windbreaker poncho, like I said, but they even sell those there if you need.
But like you said, I mean, if you go out to a festival or to a sporting event, I mean, you're not going to come back and say we should have never gone. You're going to still enjoy yourself there. You're going to get stuff to positive.
Yes.
That was enjoyable.
I agree. And same thing like as we come into the summer, I would also say like preparing for that because that is a whole thing in itself too. You're going to be walking on asphalt, right? Like I would do sunscreen, a visor even like I mean, if you're going to be spending a few hours with us, those are things to keep in mind, like hydration, obviously. Um, but yeah, again, and I always think like the summer always makes that experience because, you think of like European markets, the Mexican markets when it is hot and all that, and so like
Oh yeah.
that's more fun, I think, for
Yep.
people.
Yeah, to get the sun coming down everywhere. The kids
Yeah.
enjoy being outside. They're never too hot at all.
Yeah.
And they can roam around. You've got food to eat,
Mm,
cool off several different ways. So
like fruit, yeah, all of that stuff is like and that's definitely more tolerable. And plus, like, yeah, you can wear like you can unlayer too as easily as you can layer. So that's helpful.
yeah, I mean it thrives in all four seasons. It really does. I mean, we being open for as long as we've been open and operating and still doing it all year round shows that there's a demand for it, even in the not the most ideal conditions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think that like if you're shopping for something, so like days that maybe we don't do that well, like do you think people are shopping other places? Like, oh, okay, you know what? We'll just like if you're looking for patio furniture and it's raining and you were relying on going to Swap-O-Rama to look around, do you think it would divert our customers to, Amazon or Walmart or somewhere else?
I don't think so. I think once they go there and if the product's there, you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it. It's already built. You can sit in it. You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
And that's part of the beauty of it. Is I personally buy all my clothing recycled. And the reason why I do that is because
Yeah, like
I
for
can go in, I can try it on, I know exactly how it fits. My shoes fit. I know well, shoes sometimes, not usually, but jeans, t-shirts, pants, jackets. I know I get a good deal on it. So it's less money than it would be new, but I know exactly what I'm getting. There's no surprises. It's not going to shrink anymore. It's not going to stretch anymore. So it's the same thing at the flea market. You get to include all of your senses when you're making a decision, as opposed to going to a Home Depot or something,
Yeah.
or even shopping online.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think you hit it right on. I think if you want to try a lot, like if you have a specific thing in mind, I personally would just like wait it out and wait to like go, shop for it versus, obviously if you need like an essential toilet paper or something like that, then fine, go get it. But there really is something, the thrill of like the hunt and the actual shopping experience for something like that, I would just hold off.
Yeah,
Oh,
we know how it sounds, you know what it looks like, what it
yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so we talked about kind of how you can maybe score a better deal on a slower day, right? Because, maybe there's half the amount of vendors, but you still can like work with them or they want to like pack something up or just get rid of it and like not pack it up wet, right? So there's this element of like having the upper hand, um, which drew me to like this other idea of like, have you seen where obviously like influencers and shopping and stuff like that. So every time like an item takes like becomes a little bit more trendy, like Amazon or Walmart like starts racking up the price. Have you seen that before? Where like, okay, so for example, there was like this watch I wanted so bad, and it was like an influencer was like, "Oh, it's on sale for $45 today or something." And then I went on Amazon and it was like 56. And I was like, "What the heck?" And it was probably because there was like some traction on it, which I thought was like insane. So, my point.
That I know where you're going with this, and the answer is no on that, because
Yeah.
that's one of the benefits of going there, because they're not as much interested in that, in
Hmm.
trying to price gouge, as they are in what they bought it for and
Yeah.
what they're gonna sell it
That's
for. That's their big thing. I was just there, and a lady had this very nice, like, stainless steel brushed coffee table, and next to it, a 100% wood kind of entryway table. And I looked at the brand of the entryway table, some off brand, and I Googled it. I'm like, okay. I looked it up just because I could tell that this stuff was very high quality. And looked it up. The company that makes this coffee, not a coffee table, an entryway table, their mirrors start at $700 a mirror.
Oh wow.
And I looked at her and I said, this probably is a $5,000 entryway table. And she goes, take it. You want it? You could take it. It's just going to end up in the dumpster. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. She didn't look it up, didn't know that it was probably worth $5,000. And however she received it didn't matter. She'd
Right,
probably be
right.
happy for $50 for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not going to get that there. You're going to get better deals, and you can negotiate as well. I mean, you can negotiate on Amazon.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
want to negotiate at the flea market. You want to, whatever the price says, offer 30% of it, and
Mhm.
then meet somewhere in the middle.
Right, right.
Don't just look at it and accept it, or you can look at it and accept it, but it's up to you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's insane how, so I mean, because essentially too, they could be just emptying out a storage unit. So it's like
And
no one has time to like check if something is like worth something of value. And like you said, they just want to get their money back.
it was, and the label on the logo on it, it was the size of a stamp.
Oh,
It was
really?
in the lower right hand corner. You would have never seen it.
Seen it. Yeah.
So
All right.
sometimes you can just tell.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, you don't have to get involved in that, and you can always negotiate your way down.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, what about, so obviously there's other flea markets in the country, wherever. We have our market in Florida. And like for example, there when it rains, there's literally it's like because there's like grass, it's muddy, right? Like it's not as easy to shop. So what would you say to maybe like some of our friends who are in other places where they don't really have the luxury of like asphalt like we do or an indoor facility like we do? So like generally when it rains, like it's rained out, right? Like our Florida market like essentially is closed when it rains. So what do we think about that?
Yeah, I mean, as an
It sucks.
operator,
That's what
as an operator, you know, you can only do so much,
yeah.
but you know, as a vendor, there are ways you can, you know, do things to keep your space drier throughout the day. Um, and you know, in those instances, it's not as easy to draw people in, but usually it's not an all day event. Usually it might rain, and then in places where it rains more, it tends to dry up faster. So it might just be partially throughout the day. So just keep advertising that, you know, ways where it ends up, you know, becoming a nice day, even though it might not start out that way. Because I know with us, a lot of that happens, and the visitors will pick up on that and they'll understand that. I mean, some days it'll start off kind of rainy and drizzling, but then later in the day, it's like it never happened, and the place is packed. So you just have to kind of stick with it, and you know, you have to go still.
Yeah.
Even during those days, you have to show up as a vendor and like a baseball team. You got to put the uniform on. You got to go to the game. You might be sitting on the bench all day. As the operator for the ballpark, you're not going to sell as many beers, but you still have to stay committed to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so funny he brought that up because in Boston we had gone to a Red Sox game and it would like it downpoured like 10 minutes into the game. So everyone had to like get out, waited for it to dry up, and it like then we went back out, then it started again. And it was just like this back and forth. And we waited out this like literally waited out the storm, never went away. It was just downpouring the whole time. And it's one of those things where we just wanted that experience. And so I don't know. I guess like you said,
Exactly.
operators though and vendors, they're so resilient. And so it's like just being optimistic that like, okay, you will have like some better weekends to come, right? Or better days to come.
Yeah.
But
And that's the thing. You don't know when the sun's going to come out and dry everything up. And if you're there and everybody else failed, you'll capitalize on that.
yeah, you could absolutely make some money. And I think too, like just in general, we have this like fear of the weather all of a sudden. I don't know why. Like it's like, and maybe it's because we live here and so we're just like used to like it being freezing or whatever. And we just like you said, we like bundle up and there's no my sister is a biker in the city and so she always like is like, yeah, I wore like my thermal and like fleece lined pants and then my jeans over that. And so and she's fine. You could never
That's what I'm
tell.
saying. There's
Yeah, you can never tell
no,
her it's cold out, right? Um,
no matter
so
how many, no matter how many followers you have on Instagram, you'll never be as popular as the weather. You'll never get as many followers as the weather.
seriously.
It is. It's the number one thing that people are going to follow.
Well, and it's that awkward topic that everyone like talks about, like, so
Well, yeah. I mean, weather is the topic of those without any imagination.
yeah, I know. Well, speaking of, what's the weather?
I know.
I know. All right, what do you have any final thoughts here? Like any tips for operators, vendors, visitors, maybe something we missed?
I think that during, you know, not the most ideal weather, there's always opportunities
Mhm.
for, you know, the vendors. They show up, weather turns satisfactory to great, and they're going to be lucky to be out there. And if you're a visitor, um, you know, don't change your plans when you're coming out to the flea market. Kind of keep a watchful eye on it.
Right.
Go up, do some more wheeling and dealing,
Yeah.
get a good taste for it, and you know, and still enjoy it. And no matter what happens, the next time you show up, it's going to be different than what it was
Mhm.
before. So you keep missing the days, and you're gonna, you might miss out on some deals that you don't even know that were in front of you.
Mhm.
It's the flea market is, you want what you find what you want.
100%. No, I agree too. I think if you want something to do, like we're always there, whether, whatever the element is. Um, I can confidently say, just being here for almost 8 years, like there will always be somebody out there. Like, and we're open inside too, right? So there's it'll act on the inside. But there will always be at least 10 people outside weathering whatever
Yes.
the element is. And so,
Double that. Yeah, you're still
yeah,
gonna have your
it literally
out there.
exactly. So go go support them. Like, especially if you're a person that hates being locked up, like during this time, like on the weekends and stuff, get out there and like have some fun and so show some support to somebody, and get the things that you're looking for too.
Yeah, and no matter what, and if you want to save money, weather shouldn't be an obstacle.
Totally.
You're not gonna go and spend $20 on a pack of drill bits when you can go to Swap-O-Rama and get the same pack for $4,
Right.
just because the weather is
Right.
a little bit down that day.
Yeah, I agree. And it's still, like I said, like it's still so much fun, it was like truly that the day that it was raining and Rachel and I were just like bouncing around, like, I mean, even as an adult, splashing in a puddle is kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean the it's there's a lot that comes with it. I mean it's like a ballpark. I
Mhm.
mean all of your senses are hammered. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you feel. I mean, everything is there.
Yeah.
You go to a baseball game, a sporting event, you have everything, but you can't touch anything. You go to
Right.
you're indoors, you may be watching a movie. It's a lot of that, but you
Yeah.
can't feel anything. There's no really place where it just annihilates all of your senses at one time than the
Yeah.
Flea experience.
No, I agree. All right. Well, let's end this episode with a little would you rather um a weather edition, Matt. Okay, so would you rather be stuck in a snowstorm or a thunderstorm?
Snowstorm all the way.
Really? Are you a skier? Like, do you like,
Yeah, I mean, snows are pointless without skiing, but yeah, I mean, a snowstorm, take it easy. It's a little bit of a challenge. You don't have to
yeah,
worry about a tornado,
really?
with
Yes.
storms like getting lightning, nobody's getting struck by
Exactly.
lightning.
Yeah, like the last thing I want is my tree to fall down, like in my house. Okay, would you rather walk through pouring rain or extreme heat?
Oof.
I know. I would definitely do.
Adulterated or do I have any equipment?
Okay, let's say without equipment.
Without equipment, extreme heat.
Really?
Yeah, the rain gets, yeah,
I know the thought of like a wet sock like drives me crazy, but
I know.
I think I would definitely do that over the heat. I hate
The
heat.
heat is over quicker. Although the feeling of getting out of wet clothing into something dry may be worth the rain.
See? Exactly. Okay. Would you rather have perfect weather every day but never see snow or live where it snows all year?
Perfect weather every day
Same.
and never see snow.
I
Although I would
but yeah.
love to, although I would love to ski 100 days a year. I think walking out every day and not having to think about it would be fantastic.
Yeah, like a perfect 60 degrees every day. Sign me up. Okay.
One less thing to worry about.
Exactly. Would you rather experience a tornado or an earthquake? An earthquake freaks me out a little bit. I don't know.
It's a horrible question. It's like, would you rather drown or get struck by lightning? Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't. I don't know. I mean, ugh.
an earthquake in a city though, like that freaks me out. Like in a high rise, like I don't know why that doesn't sit well.
I think I would rather. I now I'm breaking it down in my head. Tornado 100%, because if a tornado whips you off, you know, it'd be a quick death. Whereas an earthquake, you could be buried for, I mean, like
You could.
weeks
Yeah,
before they find you.
yeah, for sure. Okay. Would you rather live in a place where it's always windy or always humid? I'm going windy.
I'm going windy.
I can't.
Wind could be nice. The wind could be nice sometimes. There's certain islands in the Caribbean that are fantastic because they have the breeze coming in constantly, continually.
Yeah.
Wind.
Okay. Would you rather get caught in a hailstorm or a sandstorm?
Oh, hail all the way. I pray for hailstorms.
Then hail causes so much damage.
Not really.
Oh my gosh, my sister's car one year like got hit by hail, and it was like golf ball size like circles all over her car.
All right. Well,
Tons of.
would you rather whip a hail ball at me, or would you rather I whip a hail ball at you, or throw a bunch of sand in your face? Tell me which one.
It's not that anyone like they're both terrible, but oh, and also breathing sand like that. Have you ever been
That's
caught?
what I'm saying. I'd rather get whipped with hail balls than have sand thrown in my face.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I don't know. At least you could cover yourself up in sand. Oh, I don't know. Okay. Would you rather have a snow day or a beach day?
Snow
Really?
with skiing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would go beach day. What about rain boots or flip-flops? I
Flops.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. So I like my feet covered, you know? It'd have to be
I don't mind. I don't mind flip flops, plastic flip flops if it's raining out.
Oh, really? Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay, a few more here. Would you rather do hot chocolate on a snowy day or lemonade on a hot day? I already know I'm going lemonade on a hot day.
I'm going with hot
For
chocolate.
me.
I
Yeah.
would hot chocolate.
Okay, I didn't realize you love the cold so much.
I do. I like the
saw you
sport.
the
I like.
opposite. I thought you were such a big beach guy.
I am, but I mean, I'd like to ski 100 days a year too. That would be
Really?
fantastic.
Wow. Okay, a couple more. Would you rather have icy roads or flooded streets? I would go flood.
Icy. Flood. You
Icy?
can't get out of a flood. At least you can get through with it icy. You just gotta go slow. A flood, you can get flooded in and then have to.
But you could fall on your
Yeah.
and like hurt yourself in the ice.
Yeah, but you can't get anywhere in the flood. You're stuck.
Oh, you can wear, like you said, like some tall, like those hunter boots and like just power through, you know?
Yeah. I like to play. I like to slide on it.
Oh, geez. No, that's a liability for the Dukenator odor here.
That's a broken wrist.
Yeah, exactly. I also like love seeing people's like their cameras, like their ring cameras of like people like falling out of their house when they come out. It's makes me laugh.
The flood. When I was a kid, I used to always beg. I would hope so much that the weather would bring a flood, because I remember there was like one or two times we had a flood growing up, and the streets were flooded, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. People were kind of walking in it, and to me, I think that that's really cool. But again, I was 8 years old at the time, so
Yeah, everything's cool when you're 8. All right, Matt. Well, that concludes our weather chat for today. So,
well, thank you for having me on.
Listen, final thoughts here. Everyone come out, support your people, even in the bad weather. And that goes for any business. Um, and to any of our operators listening, we're resilient. We got this no matter what it brings. We can handle it, get crafty. And yeah, this was fun. Thanks for joining today.
All right, so we made weather, which is for people with no imagination, into something imaginative. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for another episode next week.